Good grief.
We did not get a level. Oh.
No, you did not. But you did get a lot of experience.
We
A
did.
lot of experience. Maybe we can do it now if we keep playing until the morning.
Grimith. Forget. Nope.
Grimith's morning.
My morning? I'm totally cool with that.
Nope. Nope.
12 hours.
I mean, I could do it.
Also, I have for this session increased the memory for MapTools. This usually crashes everything, but since we had trouble yesterday as well during Way of the Wicked, I thought I should try it at least.
The file was fine, by the way. So.
Okay, well that's good.
It's lucky.
You didn't nuke it again.
At least we have that.
Oh man, the size of that campaign file.
Yeah, I'll soon delete the Horn of Abaddon map.
That's gonna help a little.
All right. Yeah, Sheep will join us later on. He's on his way home from a concert, I think.
A physics laser concert, I'm sure.
Oh man, that's the best concert. Take me to the laser show.
That's the first song.
That's like a high level of like courting there in Germany. A boy says to a girl, "Take me to the laser show." The other way around.
That's so romantic. All right. Well, yes. Who wants to do the recap?
1, 2, 3, not it.
Not it.
I think DDS was last there actually.
Did Manaki even say it at all?
He did.
Right after Grimith.
Yeah, he was very fast.
I did it at the same time as Manaki.
Well then. One moment then. So last time, we left Vastervolt, if I remember correctly, and into the fungal jungle. Immediately upon entering, we got attacked by giant scorpions. Well, by giant scorpions, they're just... Well, they're giant for scorpions. Not giant compared to us, but that's still pretty good big. But yes, we dealt with that. Did some exploring around, found an old, possibly drowned cache behind a waterfall. Tristan adopted a cave scorpion. Because apparently Tine likes getting loads of pets.
Mm-hmm.
And then we explored the fungal jungle. And as we went through tiles, we found mushrooms. Zyn, or SMW's character, accidentally awoke some screaming mushrooms that got us attacked by fungal wolves. And then we saw some pale hunters flying by, found more mushrooms, even more mushrooms. And then a strange... What was it, a pool of mold?
Kinda, yeah.
Which had a creature which we only know of as the Weird, with massive tentacles and giant eyeballs, trying to drag people into it. Including a Zan. Yeah, a Zan.
Mm-hmm.
Which we rescued. I think his name was Miku.
Yep.
And, well, actually more precisely, Rilinid rescued. And pretty much everyone else just got the hell out of Dodge. But yeah, so that happened, and Miku led us to the city of the Zan, where we met their leader, the Alchemist. Also on the way, we had fun conversations about species-specific things. And yes, so we arrived, and after we got in, after about like 10 minutes of telepathic communication between Miku and presumably someone on the wall, we got inside, saw the Alchemist, who diplomacy happened. I thought we was going to get killed during it, but we didn't. And then finally, to end it all up, all of us went outside. We had 3 days of rest, in which time everyone but Rayan was coughing up like rainbow mold out of their lungs.
Indeed. The Alchemist also put basically a sage at your disposal if you wanted to discuss anything. That I think we will take in character with the whole group. Basically, during some of the, one of the days here, the sage will sort of, receive the group for, talks and ruminations. Everyone is welcome. It is, of course, voluntarily to go and talk to him. Some of the characters have talked to him in private, but this is a chance for the group to get together and talk to him. Apart from that, what has your characters been doing in the city during these 3 days? Manaki.
Well, looking at or sort of trying to find Alauneari, you'll have found that the first part of the first day we stayed here, she just sort of walked about, taking in the sights, looking at different things, and thinking very clearly. On the second day, she seemed very resolute as she went to walk in the direction of down south. And, well, coming back from that, actually, not too long afterwards, she seemed troubled, and her third day was spent in the Library of Dreams, reading and talking to the sage about, well, all sorts of things. And now she is seeming, I mean, from her mood at least, your siblings can tell, she seems very conflicted, sort of exhilarated, yet sort of slightly worried.
Okay.
Has not really talked to any of you over this time. She's been very secluded. Yeah.
All right. What has Trislan been doing?
Mainly, mainly she would have done as Alauneari asked and train her weird lizard thing, and she would also been trying to train me. And not being having the best time of her life, since coughing up that stuff is not what she would like and see as fun. So she would just really look forward to get out of this place. Maybe she would even go around following Rain and pestering about him handing her the mask.
Okay. GDS want to go?
I can. Rain has been mostly wandering the city. He did a little bit of shopping in what he could find of a market here. Really just alchemist shops and a few tiny places, so not a lot, but he's done that. He also generally just explored and observed the everyday lives of the Zan, trying to just work out, like, their just general lifestyle, how they do things. You know, there's even everything from just what do people do in their everyday lives to how does the military interact, how are the buildings designed, etc., etc. And have been just trying. So did get quite annoyed when he tried a few times when he tried exploring the south side and just kind of got whispered away. Right to the town centre. And denying Trislan his mask.
All right. Grimith.
Oh, good thing I didn't have the mask. Oh man, that'd been terrible. Let's see here. Rilinid, of course, the rakish, gallant, smooth and suave Rilinid has wooed the mushroom people of the city of Zan to fawn over him and drop like little petals of fungus, you know, before him and after his wake.
Yes, that is indeed how it is.
Yeah, I spent quite a lot of time in personal contemplation, racking his mind for anything that would be of value to use to better understand, and one day, centuries from now, exploit these damn mushrooms, but for now, he's got his friendly face on. He's left the mask along with a bound-up shell in the communal room so that she can keep it safe. Yep. And he's gone around, he asked a bunch of questions of people. He, of course, there's the sage that, people will be talking with. He also spent a lot of time with the singer and exposed the singer to drow culture. Yes, including calligraphy. And he's also spent quite a lot of time just sort of in the laboratories and sort of like the university like auditoriums or what have you, just conversing with students and scientists in general on a wide variety of topics, both arcane and mundane. Applying his smooth tongue, which none of these Zan understand, into something that they can comprehend and come to appreciate, or at least not care about. Instead of mistrusting him, I mean, he's a smooth criminal. Yes.
Yes. Ow!
In his spare time, he's wowed Ivy, and Ivy has, told him her deepest secrets, and he's nodded sagely. Spilled her mysteries upon his bosom, stuff like that.
Is it that kind of a session? Alright.
It's always that kind of a session.
Okay. Instituted since that. Alright, good. Right, so yeah, talking with the sage, as I said, that is something that is available for the group to indulge in if they so wish.
The sage will suffer me.
Basically, yes. So you are certainly welcome to talk to him. It is voluntarily, of course. You don't have to talk to him as a group, but this is the opportunity to do so if you had any certain questions you wish to ask him.
Alauneari will certainly go, although she seems disinterested in the sage.
Trish is not gonna go.
Okay.
Gonna hang out with Zyn doing whatever. Maybe like complaining about where she can get one of those masks.
Zyn does not have a mask. That's Rain.
Yes, I am aware.
Been complaining about trying to find
complain about it.
Yes.
No, she'll poke the lizard.
Oh, okay.
Nice little lizard.
It's a great idea.
Says the lizard.
Hey, look, I made it puke again.
Can you train that to not happen?
I don't know.
It seems to be eating a lot of weird things it finds. That is
Natural
possibly
response.
Yeah, that's possibly the
I guess on the positive side, it pukes up the rainbow, so,
Yeah,
there we
it's
go.
true, it's colorful. So yay, it's a party every
It's
time.
puking
Art.
rainbows.
It's a Care Bear. It's a Care Bear lizard.
The Care Bear lizard. Well, the College of Dreams is the library / university / research center, you suppose,
Paint a picture for us.
of the city of Xan. It is housed in one of the mushroom towers close to the main citadel. And it is surrounded, first of all, by a very large and strange garden with a lot of very bizarre plants and fungus, etc., like growing, and a lot of grubs and other strange vermin like crawling around in it all over the place. Like you see tenders that walk between the weird plants and sort of, cultivate it, you guess. You're not exactly sure. They are, however, singing like in a very low, like vibrating or almost monotone tone that sort of echoes all over this garden. Inside the tower itself, there is first of all, there's a very sort of dim, almost dreamy, haze-like light inside. There's something seemingly, erupting from the walls itself, as if the building sort of was infused by some sort of luminescent fluid or perhaps magic. Everywhere are winding corridors, stairways, small rooms where some sort of experiment is taking place. You pass a larger lecture hall of sorts, you assume, where a lot of students, again you assume, it's hard to say really with these mushroom people, seem to be attending some form of lecture. You are shown through all of this and sort of the wide range of displays up and down the winding staircases and corridors, and not to the sage's personal quarters, as perhaps you visited him last time, but it seems that your guides take you to some sort of larger laboratory at the top of the spire. You would assume that this is perhaps also like the sage's personal laboratory where he does most of his research. Opening up the doors, you come upon a room filled to the brim with like all manner of strange alchemical ingredients, research equipment, like cauldrons, everything. It seems like the whole place is like bubbling or hissing out weird like steam all over the place. Strange contraptions in a corner, a collection what seems to be some sort of gnomish artifacts perhaps, and two very large like glass-like or perhaps crystal-like containers, like almost cages, that when you enter you do notice seems to contain two Skisral actually. They seem to be suspended in some sort of hibernation. They're not really moving, and they seem very sort of lazily dozed off almost. The sage is right now sort of looking at one of these specimens inside the cage, and he seems to be doing notes in a book that lies in a pulpit in front of him. All around him again, like he has almost like an apron on, and on this apron is a collection of like weird instruments and like alchemical crafting gear, basically sort of hangs on him in many pockets and hooks, etc. on his apron. He seems to be deep in thought when you enter, but hearing the door he will turn around and face you, and you see his eyes brighten, you suppose, as he makes a motion for you to come inside, and the door closes behind you. Welcome. He takes a step forward. Yes, how nice of you to visit. He glances up at the Skisral and do some sort of notation in his book. Well, he looks around. I would bid you to sit somewhere, but it seems that many places are occupied at the moment. He sort of looks around and basically shoves off a few sort of books or other weird stuff down on a pile on the floor, and you can get a few seats at least to sit down.
But how are these chairs? I mean, their like physiology isn't quite like ours. Like
no, they're not. You get the distinct feeling that these chairs are not perhaps something the Mycoloids themselves really use. Maybe they're crafted for visitors. They are very old and archaic in their design. Looking at it, you can make a history check.
All right, history. The history of get fucked. Let's see. Will be that.
Rilinid would guess that these shares might be almost like a distant replica of something that would be like dwarven furniture, perhaps. Some almost like someone has once upon a time seen a dwarven chair and then from memory tried to recreate it.
Okay, interesting. Although not very comfortable for us.
No.
Especially with whatever he had in the chairs before that, perhaps leaving some sort of residual leftover.
Yeah, there's a few wet patches on the chair, definitely.
Well, the contemplative expression becomes contemplative.
He then motions for you to sit down. Well,
what kind of seat does he have? I mean, does he even like?
No, he stands.
Okay, stands. All right.
He stands. So he, as I said, he motion towards you. So the alchemist told me that that we perhaps could exchange some form of knowledge. He makes a motion. I do have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
See, now, Jonas, you said you was going to give us those questions before the start of the session so that we'd have time to think about the answers.
Sadly, I completely lost that document.
Oh.
I actually have looked for it like yesterday. It's like I have no idea where those are. And then things came up, so I couldn't actually write them down again. So
Search function?
it's not there. It's just gone. Maybe I never saved it or dreamed that I actually wrote it. I don't know, honestly. They're
Sounds
lost
like
indeed.
something Manaki would do.
It's true.
God damn it. Alright.
Yeah, I know. Well, we will have to wing it.
Well, I guess. I hate improv. It's dumb.
Need to be prepared.
That's right.
Also, yes, the sage is speaking to you in Undercommon, by the way. He seems to, look around in his laboratory for something, and he, shuffles around and then shrugs. Forget it. And then he looks at you. Well, so we have not had too many visitors of your kind in the city, and many of them have been. He makes a motion, not too friendly, I'm afraid to say. But perhaps something good can come of this. He nods. Well, my first question is actually, why do you consume your dead or not? Seems to be making notes in a small sort of notepad sort of thing.
Well, Jonas, I suppose I'd pitch that back to you. In Drow culture, is it a thing to consume the dead of other Drow?
Cannibalism.
You need to instruct me on the cultural taboos of my society so I can actually answer the sage's question.
Goddamn, you should know this perfectly. No, of course not. Well, Drow culture is not averse to cannibalism, but it's usually reserved for like hated enemies or something. Like, I shall feast upon the heart of the hated matron mother that I, have slain or deposed or something like that. It's not like you eat Drow flesh every day, and it is known to lead to some defects if you indulge in it too much.
Hey.
Insanity and mutations, etc.
Alright, then. Commonly, we do not consume our dead. We derive no pleasure or inherit any knowledge or power from it in general, although it is done from time to time but with a hated enemy. I have heard it is not something I at least have partaken of, and there are no sort of taboos or punishments for doing it. It's just not a commonality.
Sage seemed to nod, and he write down a few notes in his block there, and he motions to you that you can ask a question.
I suppose I will turn that around on you then for asking such a question and hearing a bit about your culture from Miku. Why do you consume your dead?
He looks up. The dead contains many healthy nutrients. As such, we see it as a circle of life. Even in death, you are reunited with the people, so that your life force, if you will, can, he makes a motion, help bring forth new Xan to the world. He nods. It is our philosophy that in this way, Xan can live forever if he is buried in the soil of the city or his people. He seems to think, looking over the group. Yes. sort of takes a step forward and peers with his eyes. He looks at Rilinid. He looks at Alauneari.
Alauneari is currently looking disinterested at the spider, trying to figure out what they did to make it stay alive.
It seems to be a lot of like fumes or something inside the cage, sort of wafting about.
Yeah.
The alchemist looks upon you. I am told that the difference there is a gender, I think it is called, difference in your people, and it is quite important to you. Would you care to elaborate some on this? It intrigues me.
Rilinid thinks and then swivels his head to Alauneari.
Alauneari, you know more about this topic than I do. Why do you not inform the sage of its answer?
Alauneari will turn around and sort of look at the sage and say, much in the same way when she told it to the other Mechaloid. In our society, we revere life and the ability to create it quite highly. I think it is the same with yours. The female gender of our society is naturally born with a greater capability for leadership. And so they rule and control and command, while the males are better fit for service, so they serve. She tried to sort of other creatures in nature work in the same way. However, with us, it is both a natural and divine law. It is, we all do what we are best fit to do.
The sage seemed to nod. And
Natural specialization, if you will.
I see. How interesting. We have similar arrangements in the Xan. People are born for certain tasks. Would then that mean, he looks over the group again and looks at Rain, that you, he motions to Rain, are born to be a soldier? He sort of looks over the myriad of weapons and armors and...
I already have half the weapons on me right now, but still it's fine. Well, probably not in the same way you do. We are not born with the specific role in mind, but all drow develop slightly differently, with each able to better adapt to a certain role, and that is generally what they're most likely to take. But no one's born specifically for a job. They just generally adapt to what they're best at.
Sage seems to think and nod again. But you are then in service to... He sort of motions towards Alauneari.
Alauneari nods.
That would be a correct way to put it, I guess.
Sage seems to consider it and makes a note again in his booklet. How do you... He sort of seems to search for the words. How do you receive your instructions for what to do, then? Do you share some sort of mind bond with her?
No, we do not have any kind of bonds in that way. We simply speak to one another or send another form of or basic signal. Yeah. Rae'nkalar will do a quick bit of sign language out.
Oh, the sage eyes brighten when he sees the sign language. Interesting. Yes, speech is of course known to me. This, however, look at the sign language. Can you do that again for me?
Rae'nkalar will sign something out.
The alchemist looks very interested, and he jots furiously in his notepad. I see, and this is something all of you share?
Rilinid will then begin the sign to Rae'nkalar, Alauneari only thinks that she controls us. She is filling the sage with nothing but lies.
Rain will sign his reply basically. That is probably true, brother. Basically signing that back to you as he responds to him. Not all drow do this form of communication, though it is something which many drow end up learning at some point.
It is the same as any other language, for dwarves do not speak the same as gnomes. So do not everyone learn how to communicate with their hands and body gestures.
The sage nods. I suppose that is true. It seems inefficient, but it is interesting how more primitive races have developed it. And then he sort of catches himself in it and says, I apologize. It was not my meaning to offend.
There is sort of like, the lips curl upward. There's like a gleam in the pearly white teeth of Rilinid, which of course are fastidiously maintained by his grooming kit. And he'll go with,
all right, how do you speak? We obviously emit speech from our mouths, the same opening where we intake food, but I do not see such on you.
The sage nods. That is true. We can produce speech by altering air pressure within certain pockets of our bodies. We emit the sound from the top of the body. He points to its cap. That is how we do it.
When do your people first learn how to communicate with each other through this mind share?
Well, the sage seems to consider it is something that we have always been able to do, I think. It was in the old texts and stories something that was developed early in the evolution of the people. It is said that in the beginning not many such connections existed, but they all grew from the same source that connected us, and now everyone is connected thusly. He nods. But how about you then? When did you start using the mouth to talk?
For that, I direct it back to you, DM. When do the drow begin using their mouths to communicate?
Oh, you you make it up.
The gods formed us out of raw obsidian at the heart of the world. Something like that.
Say, Rilinid will sort of...
We're not evolved, we're created.
Rilinid will sort of shrug with this and say,
It varies. There is a difference between each baby, for we do not inherit the language of our parents. To that end, the idea, the creativity of using your mouth to form words to communicate with others comes across independently. It can develop rather quickly, and for some, it takes a long time. Those children are not seen very well, for they lack the creativity and intelligence to mime their elders.
Sage nods. I see. He makes notes in the pad and makes a motion that you can ask something.
What created this lush jungle here? Its existence, to my knowledge, is unique in all of the Azathir.
The sage nods. That is true. The exact creation of the jungle is not known, although there remains records, old relics, etc. He motions to some of the collected gnome things on a shelf in the corner. We have found some old ciphers that, after much work, we have deciphered. It seems that the fungal jungle at one point had an opening, to the surface. Such opening is, as far as we know, closed now. But at least the old gnome sages that we have recovered some text from, they seem to have thought that the jungle is in some part caused by this old link to the outside. It makes a motion. There are other rumors. There is also stories of that there once stood a great battle in the jungle, in the great cavern, and from the cataclysmic destruction from this battle, seeds of life were also sown in the cavern that has since these millennia flourished into the riches of life we now see.